Mice can be used in ways that other animal models can't. One of the examples of this is our physiological monitoring systems that look at the mice minute by minute as they go through their days.
Scientists are at it again, and this time it seems to be more serious than anything we've faced before. Elon Musk has just shared with the world that a harmful substance that could affect our bodies has been released in the United States after the scientists claimed it was tested on mice without any signs of danger. Suddenly, people started to report signs of chronic heart and respiration issues. What is this national concern? And how did our trusted medical professionals make such a grave mistake? Join us as we reveal what has just been released in the US without people knowing. The eye-opening reports. A lot of people are starting to realize that scientists might have caused more problems than they solved with a new idea. The big question now is whether this discovery comes too late to make a difference, and we'll probably find out by the end of the year. Elon Musk is concerned that an anonymous hacker managed to break into some secret scientific information that has raised a lot of eyebrows and caused major worries in the United States. This hidden info, which has caused a major uproar, includes tons of emails, documents, and reports from a well-known research institute in Massachusetts. The shocking part? These documents reveal that scientists had plans to release hundreds of thousands of genetically modified mice into the wild without telling anyone. The most concerning detail is that they intended to let these mice loose without any public notice, kind of like a surprise invasion straight out of a horror movie. While they probably didn't mean for it to be that dramatic, the documents show that the scientists had specific locations in mind for the release across the state. They believed they had a good reason for this project, or at least they thought they did. The reports from the hackers show that scientists wanted to observe how these mice behave in a natural setting. Since these mice were mainly raised in labs, the researchers thought it would be a good idea to set them free in the wild. This way, they could see how these mice affect the environment and if they bring any benefits. The study also showed that these mice had undergone several genetic changes, making them stronger and better adapted than regular wild mice. They were designed to behave differently and to be more resistant to illnesses. Speaking of illness, it seems that one of the main reasons the scientists had secret plans was to use these mice to help fight Lyme disease, which has been a serious problem in the area since the early 1990s. After looking closely at the documents, critics found out that the mice were supposed to be sent to a specific place first. The plan was to release them on an uninhabited island so the scientists could watch how they acted in a natural environment. Once they gathered enough information, the next step was to release them in larger numbers on Nantucket Island. Considering this particular location, it became clear that the whole mice project was an experiment aimed at protecting against Lyme disease. When the plans were being put together, there was a serious outbreak of Lyme disease on Nantucket Island, which had the highest infection rate at that time. The disease mainly spread through black-legged ticks, but mice were the main carriers of the germs that caused the illness. To tackle this issue, scientists created special lab mice that were resistant to these germs, meaning they wouldn't pass the disease to the ticks that could infect people. This idea came from a professor at MIT who shared it with the Nantucket Board of Health. They presented the concept to around 20 local residents who supported it. But it seems odd to base such a big decision on just 20 people's opinions, especially when it involves releasing a large number of mice into the environment. Critics argue that those who backed the plan shouldn't be blamed since many of them didn't fully understand the benefits and drawbacks of the proposal. Plus, the Lyme disease situation had caused so much trouble that people were eager to accept any solution that seemed promising. According to government statistics, Nantucket had the highest Lyme disease rates in the U.S. from 1992 to 2001, and was third in the rankings from 2002 to 2006. It gets more serious. A surgeon from Nantucket Hospital has pointed out that the number of Lyme disease cases reported by hospitals since the 1980s, is much lower than the real figures. They usually see around 300 cases each year, which is a lot for such a small county. So it's understandable why those 20 people were eager to accept the help offered by the professor and the Board of Health, who promised to put an end to their struggles with the disease. To tackle the problem of Lyme disease, scientists have zeroed in on white-footed mice, which they have identified as the main carriers of the disease. These mice are common hosts for ticks, and they easily pass the bacteria that causes Lyme disease to the ticks. The ticks then spread the disease to other mice and even to humans. Scientists think that if they can cut off the transmission of the disease between the mice and the ticks, they can lower the number of Lyme disease cases. They plan to do this by using genetically modified mice that are designed to resist the disease, but for this plan to succeed, they first need to find out which genes in the white-footed mice provide this resistance. Once they identify those genes, they can replicate them to create a larger population of mice that are better equipped to fight off infections, especially Lyme disease. The thousands of genetically modified mice. The scientists are very convinced about their idea and have decided to create over 100,000 genetically modified mice, as revealed in some secret documents. They plan to release these mice in groups of 20,000 to 40,000 every couple of months throughout the year. If everything goes smoothly in Nantucket, they might expand the release to larger areas in the Northeast. In their minds, they see this mouse release as a big win for biomedical research and possibly even for agriculture. But once the public found out about this plan, they didn't share the same excitement. People started questioning why such an important project was kept under wraps, if it was really beneficial. Considering this is an experiment that hasn't been done before, the scientists can only guess what the outcome will be. It could either be a success or lead to problems, but they moved forward with their plans without fully weighing the chances of things going wrong. They proceeded with their lab work and successfully edited the genes of a large number of mice using a method known as CRISPR. That's not all. Scientists might have realized that their experiments with mice could lead to more problems than solutions. Instead of reconsidering their approach, they decided to ignore the warning signs and claimed they had everything under control. This vague assurance about handling the situation seems odd, especially since it could turn into a huge issue. Elon Musk's worries have sparked public curiosity about the true intentions of these scientists and what might go wrong. The documents indicate that it could take a year or longer to see any effects from these genetically modified mice, meaning there won't be any noticeable changes in Lyme disease rates or tick populations for quite some time. It feels like a guessing game, with scientists trying to appear knowledgeable while the public is left to deal with a growing mouse population without any real results. It raises the question of why they thought it was necessary to flood a state with mice for a year when they could have focused on finding better treatments for the disease. When the plan was finally revealed, the scientists said they would first test the mice in areas with fewer people before introducing them to more populated places. While that sounds reasonable, it seems like a way to calm the public's fears. They must have known how people would react, and honestly, the situation could get much worse. Instead of reducing disease rates, the genetic changes in these mice could actually create serious health risks in the state. As some biologists have pointed out, the whole situation feels suspicious, especially with the scientists leading this mouse project. Biologists have noticed that using mice for research isn't a great idea, as they often give results that don't match what scientists expect. Surprisingly, it seems that some scientists have been misleading journalists to keep the true issues with these mice under wraps. It's confusing because many people believe that everyone knows these mice aren't reliable models. The actual truth is that the genetic changes made to these mice have turned them into carriers of more dangerous diseases. The altered germs they carry could lead to new illnesses affecting both animals and humans. While there might be a chance to eliminate Lyme disease, the situation could worsen because these modified mice could trigger the spread of a new disease. With so many of them around, it could be tough to control the outbreak. It seems that scientists might struggle to manage the consequences of their experiments, and this could have a negative impact on the entire ecosystem. Not only will the mice spread diseases, but they will also disrupt the natural balance of our environment, since they are engineered to thrive better than their wild counterparts. This fast reproduction creates an imbalance in how these two types of mice compete with each other, and we all know which one is likely to come out on top. If the genetically modified mice take over, our entire ecosystem could end up filled with them. Plus, they can spread new diseases quickly, which is concerning. But that's not all. These modified mice can also mess with the food chains in nature. Since they are designed to be better hunters, they might overhunt their prey, leading to a rapid decline in those populations. This situation should raise alarms because, if their prey disappears, the modified mice might start invading homes and public spaces looking for food. This increased interaction between mice and humans could be quite dangerous, as it raises the chances of disease spreading among people. While controlling diseases in a lab might work well, it doesn't guarantee the same success when these mice are released into the wild. Strange abilities of the modified mice. The modified mice have a unique ability to fight off diseases, but this could create a problem for the germs that usually make them sick. When these germs can't infect the modified mice anymore, they might adapt and come back even stronger. This means that the scientists working on this project might have to return to the lab to deal with these new, tougher germs. These powerful strains could potentially harm both the genetically altered mice and the regular ones. If that happens, we could see a serious outbreak of diseases that could wipe out not just wildlife, but also humans. It's pretty scary to think about creating a new type of disease that might be impossible to cure. Another concern is that scientists have found some big risks linked to releasing these genetically modified mice into the wild. Since other animals won't be able to tell the difference between the modified mice and the regular ones, there's a chance that they could breed together. This could mix their genes, leading to a new population of mice with unpredictable traits. If the modified mice mate with wild ones, their altered genes could spread into the natural mouse population. This genetic mixing could cause changes that scientists can't foresee, resulting in new hybrid mice with strange behaviors and roles in the ecosystem. So besides the risk of new diseases, this experiment could confuse things in nature and might even lead to the loss of the original genes in wild mice. The hybrid species could also end up being something we can't even deal with right now. They might grow faster and larger than the natural ones, and before we know it, the environment could be filled with these unfamiliar mice. This all started because some scientists were trying to get rid of a specific disease. Recently, the release of some secret documents has brought to light the real issues that could arise from this, and it's become a pretty scary topic. It has resulted in a lot of questions about what the scientists were really thinking. Did they not see the problems that could come from messing with these mice? While the scientists might not fully understand all the possible outcomes of their actions, it's clear they are aware of some risks and likely chose to overlook them. This secrecy around their plans raises eyebrows. After all, they must know that releasing these mice into the wild could lead to unexpected problems, but they seem more focused on immediate results rather than the long-term effects, which could seriously harm the ecosystem. The fact that the scientists and health officials kept such a plan from the public is shocking. The real concern isn't just the plan itself, but the lack of openness and communication with the public. The choice to carry out this experiment and release hundreds of mice without informing anyone or getting the necessary approvals has led to major controversies. In science, doing something like this is seen as a serious violation of ethical guidelines. This is especially true for research that deals with genetic changes and introducing new species. Scientists need to be open with the public about their work, as the outcomes of these experiments can significantly affect the environment and people's health. The community deserves to be informed about activities that could have major consequences. When scientists design these kinds of experiments, they must ensure that the benefits of genetic modifications far exceed any potential dangers to wildlife and ecosystems. In this situation, it seems that the negative effects might be greater than the potential to eliminate Lyme disease, which could be tackled through safer alternatives. Scientists should recognize that vaccines are still a highly effective option and might be a better choice than diving into genetic engineering. Yet they opted for a path that carries unknown risks. There's also the fact that genetic modification technology has transformed biological sciences and opened up many possibilities in areas like medicine and agriculture. It also comes with certain risks. This is why ethical considerations and public awareness are necessary when experiments involve large groups of people and wildlife. What do you think scientists will release into the public next? We would love to know in the comments. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next updates. Also, click the next video on your screen to enjoy more exciting content.